why do you guys put so much time into commanding for the world versus world community? What makes it so great that you just want to keep doing this and helping people out and being a commander?
So for me, World v. World commanding, I personally think it's like the best game mode in all of Guild Wars 2. It tops PvE and PvP. That's just my opinion. But as far as committing a lot of time to it, nurturing the World v. World community and other players, it's not really a lot of time because World v. World is like a mode you can just go in and out. You don't have to queue up for it like in PvP. And
unless it's reset.
Yeah, unless it's reset.
True.
And the squad limitations, like for example, for dungeons, like you can only take 5 people. For fractals, you can only take 5 people. For raids, you can only take 10 people. But for World versus World, that limitation is removed. So that's really a great thing for the game mode and for players. You know, more people can get involved. World versus World is essentially a community-driven game mode. The reason why I'm so involved in World versus World because it's fun. It's fun playing with other players. The more players I can play with, the better.
And even beyond that, in terms of like the squad size, there's productive things that you can do with a group of like 5 people in World v. World, and there's productive things that you can do with a squad of 50 in World v. World. If you're like, in a one-on-one fight, the larger group is going to hold an advantage, but there's other groups around that you can coordinate with as well, and there's different size groups running around. So you can kind of find content that matches the size of your own group, whatever group that might be. So
it's more sandbox-ish, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's sandbox-ish, and all the content is kind of like player-driven rather than, NPC server-side driven, which makes it more interesting because it's changing over time. You're not just fighting like the same Icebrood construct week in and week out. There's different groups trying different stuff. People are joining, people are leaving, new groups are forming, old groups are disbanding. So it's this constantly changing landscape of who else is out there and who do you get to play against.
Yeah, and you say that it doesn't take a lot of time for that because of the fluidity of things. Like, you can go in whenever and spend however much time you want and it'll be okay type thing.
Yeah, I mean, it takes time to get good, and we'll probably touch on that later in the series, but it's really forgiving to just kind of like hop into World v. World with a build that's okay and like press buttons and see numbers pop up. There's a really high skill ceiling associated with the game mode, but the barrier to entry is pretty low.
If you're interested in listening to the full recording of this episode of Say Chat Podcast, you can find the link in the description below. Thank you very much for listening. Bye!